The town of Bitter Creek had three things worth mentioning: a saloon that never closed, a church that no one attended, and a gallows that saw more use than both combined. Cole Brennan rode in at dusk, when the light turned everything the color of old blood. His horse moved slow through the rutted street, past buildings with peeling paint and windows dark as empty eyes. He wasn't looking for trouble, but out here, trouble had a way of finding you, whether you wanted it or not. He tied his horse outside the saloon and stood for a moment, listening. Laughter spilled through the doors, rough and mean, the kind that came from men who'd been drinking all day and hadn't found anything better to do. Cole pushed through the swinging doors and stepped inside. The room went quiet. Not all at once, but in waves like ripples spreading across water. Conversations died mid-sentence. Cards were lowered, eyes turned toward him, assessing, measuring. Cole had seen it before. He was tall, lean, with a scar that ran from his temple to his jaw, and eyes that didn't give anything away. He looked like what he was, a man who'd survived things most people didn't. He walked to the bar, spurs chiming soft on the floorboards. "Whiskey," he said. The bartender, a heavy man with a stained apron, poured without a word and slid the glass across. Cole drank it in one swallow, feeling the burn settle in his chest. He set the glass down and was about to order another when he heard it. A boy's voice, high and desperate, cutting through the noise. "Please don't hurt my father." Cole turned. At the back of the saloon, near the poker tables, a man knelt on the floor, blood dripping from his nose. Standing over him were three men, all wearing the same filthy dusters and cruel smiles. The largest one, a bearded man with a scar across his throat, held a pistol aimed at the kneeling man's head. Beside them, pressed against the wall, was a boy. Couldn't have been more than 10, thin as a rail, with dark hair and wide, terrified eyes. His hands were clenched into fists, and tears streaked his dirty face. "Your daddy owes us money," the bearded man said, his voice lazy and amused. "We're just here to collect." "I told you," the kneeling man gasped. "I need more time." The bearded man kicked him in the ribs. The boy flinched, a sob tearing from his throat. "Please," he begged. "Please, we'll get the money, I promise." "Shut up, boy," one of the other men snarled. Cole set his glass down and moved toward them. The room tensed. A few people shifted toward the door. The piano player stopped mid-note, but Cole kept walking, slow and deliberate, until he stood a few feet from the bearded man. "That's enough," Cole said quietly. The bearded man turned, eyebrows raised. "This your business, stranger?" "It is now." The man laughed, a low rumble. "You got a death wish?" "Not particularly," Cole said, "but I don't like watching men beat on people half their size." The bearded man's smile faded. He straightened, shifting his weight, and Cole saw the other two men move to flank him. The air thickened, heavy with the promise of violence. "Walk away," the bearded man said, "or I put a bullet in you same as him." Cole's hand drifted to the Colt at his hip. "You can try." For a long moment, no one moved. Then the bearded man's eyes narrowed, and Cole saw the decision form before the man's hand even moved. The man went for his gun, and Cole drew faster. Clean, smooth, practiced. His shot rang out, and the bearded man's pistol clattered to the floor, a hole punched through the barrel. The man stared at his ruined gun, then at Cole, his face going pale. "Next one's through your heart," Cole said. The two other men raised their hands slowly, backing away. The bearded man's jaw worked, rage and fear warring in his expression. Then he spat on the floor and jerked his head toward the door. "This ain't over," he growled. "Yes, it is," Cole said. The three men left, pushing through the doors and disappearing into the street. The saloon stayed silent for another beat. Then the noise returned, slower, quieter, like everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. Cole turned to the kneeling man and extended a hand. The man took it, wincing as he stood. Up close, Cole could see he was older than he'd first appeared, maybe 50, with graying hair and a face carved deep with worry. "Thank you," the man said hoarsely. "I don't know what would have happened if—" "Don't mention it," Cole said. The boy rushed forward, wrapping his arms around his father's waist. The man hugged him tight, his hand cradling the back of the boy's head. "You all right, Sam?" he asked. The boy nodded against his chest, sniffling. I thought they were going to kill you. They didn't, thanks to this man. The father looked at Cole. I'm Daniel Fletcher. This is my son, Sam. Cole nodded. Cole Brennan. Can I buy you a drink, Mr. Brennan? It's the least I can do. Cole glanced toward the door, where the three men had disappeared. Maybe later. Right now you should get out of here. Those men might come back with friends. Daniel's face tightened. You're right. He looked down at Sam. Come on, son. But Sam was staring at Cole, his eyes wide and shining with something that looked like awe. You're the fastest draw I've ever seen. Cole's mouth twitched, almost a smile. Don't make a habit of watching draws, kid. They don't usually end well. Daniel put a hand on Sam's shoulder and steered him toward the door. But before they left, Sam turned back one more time. Thank you, he said quietly. Cole nodded. Take care of your father. They left and Cole returned to the bar. The bartender poured him another whiskey without being asked, and this time Cole sipped it slowly, staring at his reflection in the mirror behind the bottles. He looked tired. Older than his 32 years. Alone. He'd been alone for a long time now. Outside, the sun finished setting, and the town of Bitter Creek settled into darkness. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. A shutter creaked, and Cole Brennan sat in the saloon, wondering if he should have just kept riding. But deep down, he knew the answer. He never could walk away from a fight. Section 1. Word count, 137 words. Cole took a room above the saloon, a narrow space with a sagging bed and a window that looked out onto the street. He lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the town. Laughter, shouting, the occasional crack of a gunshot. He thought about Daniel Fletcher and the boy, Sam, and the three men who'd walked away but wouldn't stay gone. Men like that never did. He must have dozed off sometime before dawn, because the next thing he knew, sunlight was cutting through the window, and someone was pounding on his door. Cole sat up, hand moving to the gun on the nightstand. Who is it? Mr. Brennan, a boy's voice. It's Sam. Sam Fletcher. Cole frowned, stood, and opened the door. Sam stood in the hallway, his hat clutched in his hands, his face pale and anxious. What's wrong? Cole asked. My pa, Sam said quickly. They came to our place last night, burned down our barn. Pa's scared they're going to come back, and he doesn't know what to do, and I thought... He stopped, swallowing hard. I thought maybe you could help. Cole's jaw tightened. Where do you live? Just outside town, mile or so north. We got a small farm. Cole looked at the boy for a long moment. He should say no, should tell the kid to find the sheriff, or pack up and leave town. Cole wasn't a hero. He was just a drifter trying to keep his head down and his past buried. But when he looked at Sam's face, hopeful, desperate, trusting, he saw something else. He saw himself 20 years ago, standing in front of men who didn't care whether he lived or died. All right, Cole said. Let me get dressed. 20 minutes later, they were riding out of town, Sam sitting behind Cole on his horse, arms wrapped around his waist. The boy didn't talk much, but Cole could feel the tension in his small frame, the way he kept glancing over his shoulder like he expected to see the outlaws following. Who were those men? Cole asked. They work for a man named Grayson, Sam said quietly. He owns most of the land around here. Been trying to buy our farm for months, but Pa won't sell. Says it's all we got left of Ma. Where's your mother? Sam's voice went quieter. She died 2 years ago. Fever. Cole didn't respond, but something heavy settled in his chest. He knew that kind of loss, the kind that hollowed you out and left you walking through the world like a ghost. They reached the farm just as the sun cleared the horizon. It was small, a single-room house, a chicken coop, and the charred remains of what used to be a barn. Daniel Fletcher stood in front of the house, a shotgun cradled in his arms, looking like he hadn't slept. When he saw Cole, relief flooded his face. Mr. Brennan, he said, hurrying over. Thank God. I didn't know if Sam would find you. He found me, Cole said, dismounting. Tell me what happened. Daniel gestured toward the barn. They came around midnight, set the fire and rode off, laughing. Didn't say a word, but I know what it means. They're trying to scare us into leaving. You think Grayson sent them? I know he did. He's been buying up every farm between here and the river. Wants to build a railroad through. Anyone who won't sell. Daniel trailed off, his face grim. Well, they don't last long. Cole looked at the burned barn, then at Sam, who stood a few feet away, staring at the ruin with tears in his eyes. You got family somewhere? Cole asked. Somewhere you can go? Daniel shook his head. This is it. This is all we have. Then you need to leave. Take the boy and find someplace safe. I can't, Daniel said quietly. This land, it's the only thing I can give him. The only thing left of his mother. If I walk away, his voice broke. I got nothing. Cole understood that. The need to hold on to something, even when holding on meant getting yourself killed. Grayson's men will come back, Cole said, and next time, it won't just be your barn. I know. Daniel looked at him, something desperate in his eyes. That's why I'm asking for your help. Cole stiffened. I'm not a hired gun. I'm not asking you to be. I'm just asking you to stay. A few days, maybe a week. Just long enough for me to figure something out. Daniel's voice cracked. Please. I got nowhere else to turn. Cole wanted to say no. Wanted to get back on his horse and ride away from this place, this family, this fight that wasn't his. But when he looked at Sam, small, scared, trying so hard to be brave, something in him shifted. He thought about the men who'd helped him once, when he had no one, the strangers who'd shown him mercy when the world had shown him none. All right, Cole said finally, I'll stay, but only until you figure out your next move. Daniel's shoulders sagged with relief. Thank you, thank you. Sam's face lit up and he ran over, grabbing Cole's hand. You're gonna stay? For now, Cole said. Are you gonna teach me to shoot like you? Cole almost smiled. We'll see. That afternoon, Cole helped Daniel clear the debris from the barn while Sam fed the chickens. They worked in silence, the sun beating down, sweat soaking through their shirts. Every so often, Cole glanced toward the road, watching for riders. You don't have to do this, Daniel said quietly. I know, Cole replied. Then why are you? Cole paused, resting the shovel against his shoulder. Because someone did it for me once, and I figure I owe the world a debt. Daniel studied him for a long moment. What happened to you, Mr. Brennan? Cole didn't answer right away. Then quietly, same thing that happened to you. I lost someone, and I've been running ever since. From what? Myself. They went back to work, and the silence that settled between them was heavier now, weighted with understanding. That night they ate a simple meal, beans and cornbread, and Sam asked Cole to tell him stories. Stories about gunfights and outlaws and heroes who rode in when no one else would. Cole told him a few, leaving out the blood and the death and the truth that most heroes ended up in graves just like everyone else. When Sam finally fell asleep on a bedroll near the fire, Daniel sat across from Cole, staring into the flames. He looks up to you, Daniel said. He shouldn't, Cole replied. Maybe, but he does. Daniel looked at him. You're a good man, Mr. Brennan. Cole shook his head. I'm just a man who showed up at the right time. That's what good men do. Cole didn't respond, but later when Daniel had gone to bed and Cole sat alone under the stars, he thought about those words, and he wondered if they were true. Section 2, word count, 1,139 words. They came on the third day. Cole saw them from a distance. 4 riders silhouetted against the noon sun, moving slow and deliberate down the road toward the farm. He was mending a fence post when he spotted them, and he straightened immediately, his hand moving to the rifle leaning against the rail. Daniel, he called. Daniel came out of the house, Sam trailing behind him. When he saw the riders, his face went pale. Is it them? Sam asked, his voice small. Yeah, Cole said. Get inside, both of you. I'm not hiding, Daniel said, gripping his shotgun. You are if you want to live, Cole replied. They're here for me now. Daniel hesitated, then looked at Sam. Come on, son. But Pa. Now, Sam. Sam's eyes filled with tears, but he obeyed, following his father into the house. Cole heard the door close, and then he was alone, standing in the yard with the sun at his back and death riding toward him. The riders stopped 20 feet away, fanning out in a loose line. Cole recognized the bearded man from the saloon, along with the 2 who'd been with him. The 4th man was new, lean and sharp-eyed, with a silver star pinned to his vest. A deputy. "Well, well," the bearded man said, grinning. "Look who's playing farmer." Cole didn't move. "You boys lost?" "Not at all. We know exactly where we are." The deputy leaned forward in his saddle. "Name's Cutter. I work for Mr. Grayson. He owns this land." "He doesn't," Cole said. "Fletcher does." "Not for long," Cutter replied. "Mr. Grayson made him a generous offer. Fletcher refused. So now we're here to encourage him to reconsider." "You mean burn him out?" Cutter shrugged. "Call it what you want. Point is, this land's going to be Mr. Grayson's one way or another, and anyone standing in the way—" He let the sentence hang. Cole's eyes moved from Cutter to the three men behind him. All of them had their hands resting on their guns, waiting for an excuse. "Fletcher's not selling," Cole said, "so you can turn around and ride back to Grayson with that message." Cutter smiled, slow and cold. "You think you can stop us? One man? I've stopped worse. Maybe. But you ain't dealing with some drunk cowboys now. You're dealing with the law." Cutter tapped the star on his chest. "I got the authority to arrest you, or kill you. Your choice." Cole's jaw tightened. He knew the game. Men like Grayson bought badges the way other men bought cattle. The law didn't matter out here, only power did. "You're not taking this farm," Cole said quietly. Cutter's smile vanished. "Then you're a dead man." The air went still. Cole could hear his own heartbeat, slow and steady, the way it always got before a fight. He saw Cutter's hand twitch, saw the bearded man's grin widen, saw the other two shift in their saddles. And then, from inside the house, a voice rang out, high and desperate. "Stop!" Everyone turned. Sam stood in the doorway, his father's shotgun clutched in his small hands, the barrel wavering as he pointed it at the riders. "Leave us alone!" Sam shouted, his voice breaking. "Just leave us alone!" "Sam, no!" Daniel appeared behind him, reaching for the gun, but Sam jerked away. Cole's heart dropped. "Kid, put the gun down." "They're gonna hurt my pa," Sam said, tears streaming down his face. "They're gonna hurt him, and I won't let them." Cutter drew his pistol and aimed it at Sam. Time slowed. Cole's hand moved without thought, his Colt clearing leather in a blur. He fired once, and Cutter's gun spun from his hand, blood spraying from his knuckles. Cutter screamed, clutching his hand, and the other three men went for their guns. Cole fired again, twice, 3 times. The bearded man dropped, a hole in his chest. One of the others fell from his horse, clutching his shoulder. The third froze, hands raised. "Don't!" Cole said, his gun leveled at the man's head. The man nodded frantically, his face white. Cutter was on his knees, cradling his ruined hand, cursing through gritted teeth. Cole walked over and kicked his gun away, then turned to the man still on his horse. "You're gonna ride back to Grayson," Cole said, "and you're gonna tell him that if he sends anyone else out here, I'll kill them. All of them. Him included. Understand?" The man nodded, spurred his horse, and took off at a gallop. Cole turned to Cutter. "Get on your horse." Cutter looked up, his face twisted with pain and rage. "You're a dead man, Brennan. Grayson's gonna—" Cole pressed the barrel of his gun against Cutter's forehead. "I said, get on your horse." Cutter climbed to his feet, staggered to his horse, and hauled himself into the saddle. He looked at Cole one last time, then rode off, the wounded man following behind. The bearded man's body lay in the dirt, blood pooling beneath him. Cole stood there for a long moment, the gun still in his hand, his heart pounding. Then he turned and saw Daniel and Sam standing in the doorway, staring at him with wide eyes. "You all right?" Cole asked. Sam nodded slowly, but his face was pale, his hands shaking. "Put the gun down, son," Daniel said gently. Sam lowered the shotgun, and Daniel took it from him, pulling the boy into his arms. Sam buried his face in his father's chest and sobbed. Cole holstered his gun and walked over. "He's brave," he said quietly. "He's a child," Daniel replied, his voice thick. "He shouldn't have to be brave." Cole nodded. He knew that. But out here, children didn't have a choice. That night, they buried the bearded man in the field behind the house. No one spoke. When it was done, Daniel and Sam went inside, and Cole stood alone in the dark, staring at the fresh grave. He'd killed men before, more than he could count. But it never got easier. Each one left a mark, a weight that pressed down on his soul until he wondered how much more he could carry. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Sam, small and fragile in the moonlight. "Mr. Brennan?" Sam said quietly. "Yeah? Are they going to come back?" Cole looked at the boy for a long moment. Then he knelt down, meeting Sam's eyes. "Yeah," he said honestly. "They're going to come back." Sam's lip trembled. "What are we going to do?" Cole put a hand on the boy's shoulder. "We're going to be ready." Section 3. Word count, 1,153 words. The days that followed were quiet, but it was the kind of quiet that came before a storm. Cole spent his time fortifying the farm, boarding up windows, setting up sight lines, teaching Daniel how to reload faster. Sam watched everything, silent and serious, like he was trying to memorize every movement. On the fourth evening, after supper, Sam asked Cole to teach him to shoot. Daniel looked up from his plate, frowning. "Sam." "Please, Pa," Sam said. "I need to know how, in case—" He didn't finish, but everyone knew what he meant. Daniel looked at Cole, something pained in his expression. "He's too young." "I was younger," Cole said quietly. Daniel's jaw worked. Then slowly he nodded. They went outside as the sun was setting, the sky streaked with orange and gold. Cole handed Sam his Colt, showing him how to hold it, how to aim, how to breathe. "It's heavier than I thought," Sam said, struggling to keep the barrel steady. "It's supposed to be," Cole replied. "A gun's not a toy. It's a tool, and tools have weight." He positioned Sam's hands, adjusted his stance, and stepped back. "Now see that fence post? Focus on it. Nothing else. Just the post." Sam nodded, squinting down the barrel. "When you're ready, squeeze the trigger. Don't pull. Squeeze." Sam fired. The recoil kicked the gun back, and he stumbled, but the shot hit near the post, splintering the wood. His eyes went wide. "I hit it!" "Close enough," Cole said. "Try again." They practiced until the light faded, and by the end, Sam could hit the post 3 times out of 5. When they went back inside, Daniel was sitting at the table, his head in his hands. "You all right?" Cole asked. Daniel looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. "I keep thinking about his mother. What she'd say if she saw this. What would she say? That I'm a failure. That I couldn't protect him." Cole pulled out a chair and sat down. "You're protecting him the only way you can, by making sure he can protect himself. He's 10 years old." "I know, but that doesn't change what's coming." Daniel was silent for a long time. Then he said, "Why are you really doing this, Mr. Brennan? You could have left days ago. Why stay?" Cole stared at the table, at the grain of the wood, the scratches and stains. "Because I got nowhere else to be." "That's not an answer." Cole looked up. "My wife died 6 years ago. Childbirth. The baby, too." His voice was flat, emotionless, but his hands clenched into fists. "I wasn't there. I was out chasing bounties, trying to make enough money to buy us a real house. By the time I got back, they were already in the ground." Daniel's face softened. "I'm sorry. Don't be. I made my choice, and I've been paying for it ever since." Cole's eyes met Daniel's. "So when I see a man trying to hold on to the only thing he's got left, trying to give his son something worth fighting for, I can't walk away. Because if I do, I'm walking away from the only part of me that still remembers what it means to be human." Daniel's throat worked. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet," Cole said. "We're not out of this." That night, Cole sat on the porch cleaning his guns. Sam came out and sat beside him, quiet for a long time. "Can I ask you something?" Sam said finally. "Sure. Do you think my ma would be proud of me?" Cole looked at the boy, at the dirt on his face, the determination in his eyes, the way he held himself like he was trying to be bigger than he was. "Yeah," Cole said. "I think she would." Sam's eyes shone. "Really? Really? You're brave, and you're trying to protect your pa. That's what she'd want." Sam nodded, wiping at his eyes. "I miss her." "I know. Do you miss your wife?" Cole's hands stilled. "Every day." "Does it get easier?" "No," Cole said honestly, "but you learn to carry it." Sam leaned against him, and Cole put an arm around the boy's shoulders. They sat like that for a long time, watching the stars come out, listening to the night sounds, crickets, wind, the distant call of an owl. "Mr. Brennan," Sam said quietly. "Yeah? I'm glad you stayed." Cole's throat tightened. "Me too, kid." The next morning, Daniel made breakfast, and they ate together at the small table. It was simple: eggs, biscuits, coffee, but it felt like more. It felt like family. After they finished, Daniel cleared the plates and looked at Cole. "Whatever happens, I want you to know, you gave us something we thought we'd lost." "What's that?" Cole asked. "Hope." Cole didn't know what to say to that, so he just nodded. That afternoon, they sat on the porch watching the horizon. Sam was between them, his head resting against Cole's arm, half asleep in the heat. "You think they'll come today?" Daniel asked. "Maybe," Cole said. "Maybe tomorrow. And if they do, we'll be ready." Daniel looked at him. "You really think we can win this?" Cole was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I think we can try, and sometimes that's enough." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of red and purple, Cole realized something. For the first time in 6 years, he didn't feel alone. He felt like he was part of something, something fragile and precious and worth protecting, and that scared him more than any gunfight ever could. Section 4. Word count, 1,010 words. They came at dawn. Cole was already awake, standing in the yard with his rifle, watching the road. He'd barely slept. His instincts had been screaming all night, and he'd learned long ago to listen to them. The riders appeared like shadows emerging from mist. Not 4 this time, but 8. Grayson had sent everyone he had. Cole walked to the house and knocked on the door. Daniel opened it immediately, fully dressed, shotgun in hand. Sam stood behind him, pale but steady. "It's time," Cole said. Daniel nodded and moved to the window. Sam started to follow, but Cole stopped him. "Not you," Cole said. "You stay in the back room. But no arguments. Your pa needs to know you're safe." Sam's eyes filled with tears, but he nodded and disappeared into the back. Cole and Daniel took positions at the windows, watching as the riders spread out in a wide arc around the property. At the center, on a black horse, sat a man Cole hadn't seen before. Tall, gray-haired, dressed in an expensive suit. Grayson. "Daniel Fletcher," Grayson called out. "You've caused me a lot of trouble." Daniel didn't respond. "I'm a reasonable man," Grayson continued, "so I'm going to make you one final offer. Sign over your land, and you and your boy can walk away. Alive." "And if I don't," Daniel shouted back. Grayson smiled. "Then I'll take it anyway, and bury you on it." Cole stepped out onto the porch, rifle in hand. "You'll have to go through me first." Grayson's smile widened. "Ah, the gunfighter. Cutter told me about you. Said you were fast." He leaned forward in his saddle. "But you're just one man. You can't stop all of us." "Maybe not," Cole said. "But I'll take at least half of you with me. You willing to make that bet?" Grayson's expression darkened. "Kill them." The men drew their guns. Cole fired first, dropping the nearest rider before he could aim. Daniel's shotgun boomed, taking down another. The yard erupted in gunfire, bullets splintering wood, kicking up dirt, shattering glass. Cole moved like he was born to it, shooting, reloading, shooting again. Men fell, screaming, clutching wounds. But there were too many. A bullet grazed Cole's shoulder, spinning him around. Another punched through the wall next to Daniel's head. And then, over the gunfire, came the sound of hooves. Cole glanced toward the road and saw them. Riders pouring over the hill, at least a dozen, led by a man he recognized. The sheriff from Bitter Creek, a decent man Cole had met once in passing. "Grayson!" the sheriff shouted. "Stand down!" Grayson wheeled his horse around, his face twisted with fury. "This is none of your business. It is when you're trying to murder people on their own land." The sheriff leveled his rifle. "Drop your guns, now." Grayson's men hesitated, looking to him for orders. Grayson's jaw worked, his eyes darting between the sheriff and Cole. "You're outnumbered," the sheriff said, "and if you don't surrender, I'll hang every last one of you." Slowly, reluctantly, Grayson's men lowered their guns. Grayson stared at Cole, hatred burning in his eyes. "This isn't over." "Yes, It is, the sheriff said. You're under arrest. Two deputies moved forward and hauled Grayson from his horse. The other men were rounded up, disarmed, and led away. Within minutes, the yard was quiet again, littered with bodies and spent shells. Cole lowered his rifle, his hands shaking from adrenaline. Daniel emerged from the house, blood on his sleeve but alive. And then Sam came running out, tears streaming down his face, throwing himself into his father's arms. Pa! Pa, you're okay! Daniel held him tight, his eyes closed, his face pressed into Sam's hair. I'm okay, son. We're okay. The sheriff walked over to Cole. You all right? Cole nodded. Thanks for showing up. Got word from some of the other farmers. Said Grayson's men had been terrorizing them for weeks. Figured it was time to do something about it. The sheriff glanced at the bodies. You did good work here. Just trying to stay alive, Cole said. The sheriff studied him for a moment. You planning to stick around? Cole looked at Daniel and Sam, still holding each other, and something shifted inside him. Yeah, he said quietly. I think I am. 3 months later, the farm looked different now. A new barn stood where the old one had burned, larger and sturdier. The fields were green with crops and chickens pecked in the yard. Inside the house, laughter echoed, something that had been missing for too long. Cole stood on the porch, a cup of coffee in his hand, watching the sun rise. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Daniel. Morning, Daniel said. Morning. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the light spread across the land. Grayson's trial starts next week, Daniel said. Sheriff says he'll be locked up for a long time. Good. Sam's been asking when you're going to teach him to ride. Cole smiled faintly. Figured we'd start this afternoon. Daniel nodded. He looks up to you, you know, like a second father. Cole's throat tightened. I'm not. I know what you are, Daniel interrupted gently, and I'm grateful for it. Sam came barreling out of the house, his face bright with excitement. Mr. Brennan, you promised we'd fix the fence today. I did, Cole said. Get your gloves. Sam ran off and Daniel clapped Cole on the shoulder. Thank you for everything. Cole watched Sam disappear into the barn. I should be thanking you. For what? For reminding me what I was fighting for. Daniel smiled. We're family now. That's what family does. Cole nodded, something warm settling in his chest. For the first time in 6 years, the weight he'd been carrying felt a little lighter. Epilogue years later, when Sam was grown, tall and strong, with a family of his own, he would tell his children about the cowboy who'd saved his life, about the man who'd stood alone against 8 riders and lived, about the gunfighter who'd taught him what it meant to be brave. And on quiet nights when the wind moved through the valley and the stars burned bright overhead, Sam would sit on his own porch and think about Cole Brennan, the lonely cowboy who'd found a home when he wasn't even looking for one, and he'd whisper a quiet thank you to the darkness, knowing that somewhere, somehow, Cole could hear it. Because heroes didn't always ride off into the sunset. Sometimes they stayed,